I'm Miss Ramsey and I'm going to be showing you how to do some watercolor painting. This is a hobby that I've picked up during quarantine. I think it's really fun. I'm going to be showing you two different projects. I've got a little watermelon fruit project, and then I have a little leaf plant project. I really enjoyed doing this. The first thing that I'm going to show you is some of the different materials you're going to need to do this activity. Of course, you're going to need paint. There's a couple of different types of watercolors. You could find maybe a palette like this that has watercolors in it, or there are also little tubes of watercolor paint. I'm going to use both just to show you how they both work. You're also going to need brushes, and I use two different jars of water. I use one for clean water, and I use one for washing out brushes. And then you're also going to need some paper and something to mix colors in. I use this tray, but I've also used bottle caps sometimes if you just need a little bit more space. So we're going to get started really quick. Here we go. Alright, so as you can see, I have some of my colors mixed here for my watermelon art. This is going to be our first project. It's really important when you mix your colors to make sure that you try them out. So I've tried all four of the colors out here, and I really like the way that they look. I think they're nice and watery. The more water that you add, the more it's going to be kind of spread out and more opaque. But I'm going to show you really quick how I mixed up these colors. So I'm going to grab a color, let's say blue. Blue is a nice color. So if you're using a tube or paint like this, you're going to squeeze a little bit into a dish, just a little, not a lot, and then you're going to get some water out of your clean water jar, probably on a brush, and you're just going to put some water in. I put like a few drops first, just to see, because however watery you want it is going to determine how thick it is. So I like mine to look pretty watery. I like them to spread out a lot. So this one is kind of watery. We're going to spread it out and see what we think. So this is what it looks like right now. If I were to maybe add a little bit more water, make sure you clean your brush. You don't want to dip it in your clean water jar. So I just cleaned it out. You can see my water's looking pretty gross. I'm going to clean that out. Get some more fresh water, mix it in again, a little bit more water here. And you see it's even thinner, it's a lighter color. The more water you add, the more it looks kind of like that watercolor look. All right, now we're gonna get started on our watermelon. So I've got my four colors here. We're going to start with the pink color. I'm going to move that out of the way. Grab my little square. I'm going to do it on a little square because I don't want to take up too much space. I'm going to make sure that I have plenty of room for my watermelon. So we're going to start with the pink. Now, when you're painting with watercolors, it's really important to remember to wait before you add more colors. So I'm not going to paint pink and then green and black and call it good, because all the colors will like run and mix together. So we're going to start with our pink. We're going to go ahead and make our nice little watermelon shape like this, kind of a little half circle here. And what's nice about watercolor is it's typically not super about precision. A lot of watercolor paintings you might see go a little bit over the edge, or they don't have really straight lines. That's okay, that's awesome. It's really cool to see the different stuff that you can make with watercolor and how you can really make your own. So here's my watermelon. I think maybe I want it to be a little bit bigger, so I'm gonna expand out the top a little bit and come around it again, just to make it a little bit bigger, I think. Fill that in like that. There we go. All right, so that's gonna be my first layer. Now I'm gonna go ahead and stop the video here and come back, and then we're gonna add in the next few layers. All right, now that the main part of my watermelon has dried, I'm gonna move into the edge right here. I'm gonna use this light green. I'm gonna get kind of a thinner brush this time because it's gonna be a little thin line around. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that green on there, and here we go. I'm gonna make this a nice thin line around, and I'm gonna kind of go over it a little bit thick because I think the color's a little bit light. I wanna make sure we can see it after it dries. All right, now this is such a small portion that I'm gonna take a little break and paint the black seeds, and then I'm gonna come back and do the dark green on the outside. I'm gonna rinse out my brush. Make sure that's nice and clean before I go back with black. Now, black is a very intense color. I'm gonna try to make really, really small touches with the brush so that it doesn't end up bleeding all over. I wouldn't want it to spread out on my poor little watermelon. Here we go. Get some dots in there. I don't wanna do too many. Go back for a little bit more paint. Fill that one in a little. Trying to barely touch the paper so I don't get too much. Looks pretty good. I think I might like them to be a little bit bigger. I'm gonna fill those in. There we go. All right. Now that I've done that, I'm gonna do the green edge, the last piece around here. I'm gonna use my darker green. And I'm gonna make probably a little bit wider of a rind down here like this. Trying not to blend the two greens. Let's see. There we go. Spreading it out. Not too worried about getting a straight edge. It's really not super important here. Just trying to go all the way around. Fill in all that white if I can. There we go. And there's my watermelon. Aw, it's so cute. If you guys make one like this, you should definitely send it to me or take a picture and post it on Instagram because it's just so adorable. And there's lots of different fruits that you can make. So I made a few others you might want to see for inspiration. I made this one. I got some little strawberries and some blueberries right here. And I made this fun little pineapple, all the little grass sticking out. I even made some little orange slices. This one was pretty easy, just 2 colors. This would be a really good one to start with after the watermelon, or if you only have a few colors and you just want to try a few simple ones, that would be a really good idea. But this is our finished product watermelon. Go team! All right, now that we have finished our watermelon painting, so cute, very summery, we're gonna do a different type of watercolor. Now this is gonna be still watercolor painting, but we're gonna be painting in and around ink lines. So I'll show you a few that I have made for myself. These are the leaf paintings. There's a lot of different kinds of leaves out there, so you have a lot of options of what kind of leaves you're gonna do. And with this, what you're gonna need is you're gonna need to get a pen, because all of these outlines are in pen. Do not use a pencil. That will be a mess. And you can even do a couple of different leaves. This was me just trying out different things that I liked. I drew them kind of small to see if I thought they were gonna look good, and then if I liked them, I made them a little bit bigger. So this is gonna be our next project. Now, there are lots of different types of pens out there, and you can use any pen that you want, but just know that some pens are going to bleed a lot. So if you have a pen like this, This is a Pilot G2. I don't know if that's going to be flipped the right way. We'll see. It's a very inky pen. It's like a gel pen. Gel pens really bleed a lot. So when you paint over it, if you aren't being really careful to paint, around it, you're going to get a lot of smudging. And it's going to really spread out. I use just a regular ballpoint pen. This is Bic. It's not fancy. I just had it sitting around. But this is just going to be kind of a really standard black pen that doesn't have a lot of extra ink. If you write with a pen and you accidentally smear it with your hand, don't use that pen. Not a great pen to use. Little cheap black pens are a great option. So for this one, I'm going to paint with my palette just to show a little bit of a different way to do watercolor. Alright, so as we get started here, I just wanted to say that you can really do this type of activity with anything that you draw. So if you are a really good artist and you like to draw houses or something else, maybe you like to draw UFOs or aliens, anything that you draw, you absolutely can watercolor. I just like drawing leaves. I think it's kind of fun. I think they're pretty. So that's what I'm going to show you guys today. So we're going to start. I'm going to do, I think, 2 different types of leaves. We're going to start with the first one down here. I like to draw kind of with one stem and then go off of it from there. So from this one, I'm going to be drawing stems out, and I'm going to be drawing a tiny stem and then a leaf. And I'm going to do that kind of all the way up here until I think it looks like it's pretty full. Okay, now that I've done this first one, I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna start another one in the middle. I think I might actually do 3 on here so we can do 3 different kinds of green. I'm gonna start this one from the other side, and I'm gonna do 1 big long stem. And with this one, I think I'm gonna do 2 leaves coming off of each. I'm gonna do them a little bit bigger, a little bit less detailed, like this one, a little bit easier to do, so here we go. For my last little leaf stem, I'm going to do kind of a eucalyptus style leaf. So I'm going to do a long stem again, and I'm going to curve it this direction. And I'm going to start doing big circles down here. And then I'm going to get a little bit smaller as we go up. Now we have 3 different sets of leaves, all very different. We've got this one that's very detailed and clean cut. We've got this one in the middle. It's a little bit bigger, it's a little bit more exaggerated, and this one here is a little bit more of a whimsical style. I tried to overloop some of these, just lots of different ways that you can do your leaves and do your watercolors. So I'm going to grab my palette. I'm going to move this out of the way so I don't accidentally get anything on it. And I'm gonna grab my palette here. It's gonna be a little bit different than our last time. And get us a fresh piece of paper. All right, so we've got a few colors. Now you can see here I've got already some greens. I went ahead and practiced a little bit mixing it up. So I'm gonna go ahead and see what this green looks like. This is a mix of this green here and the yellow right there. So I'm going to see what we think about this color. It's pretty light, it's very watery. All right, we've got that one. You can see that. Okay, gonna rinse out my brush, and I'm gonna try this plain green to see what I think. go. Let's get some green. So if you're using a palette like this, these are semi-soft, so they're a little bit squishy. You definitely can find smaller palettes. There are some that only have 8 colors. You absolutely can use 8 colors because you can make all kinds of mixes and different stuff together. So, all right, got that here. Just try this out, see what we think. Okay, a little bit darker, a little bit of a different type of color. See that? That's kind of pretty. Might use that for the eucalyptus one. And then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna mix another color to show you how it looks, and because I drew 3 leaves, so I need 3 different kinds of green. All right. So when you're mixing in something like this, you're gonna wanna start with water. So I'm gonna put it right here in this tray. I'm gonna use my brush again to transfer the water just because I don't have anything else with me right now, but if you have maybe a dropper or you want to just pour some in, you definitely could do that too. But we're going to just start with a little puddle. So here we go, I've got my little puddle of water. And this one I'm going to give it a green base. We're going to start with this green again, and we're going to start adding that green to our puddle. Now, if I think I'm getting too much water, I'm definitely going to dry off my brush because I don't want the color to be so watery that you cannot see the color. So I'm going to get a little bit more green. I'm going to mix that in here with my water puddle. Grab a tiny bit more. Mix that in again. All right. Now I think if I'm going to add another color to this, and I want it to look different than the 2 that I have, I might add something a little bit more different, a little bit less green. So I'm debating a little bit between the blue and the purple. So I'm gonna test them and see what I think. So I'm gonna get a little bit of purple here. See what the blue, I mean. Try the blue out, see what that looks like. That's pretty, I like it. Okay, so now we know the blue, and then I'm gonna try out the purple. Try that out, see what that looks like. Ooh, that's pretty too. I think I'm gonna go with the blue. I don't want it to be too bright. I want my greens to be kind of muted. I would like them to look like they go together. So I'm gonna go with the blue. I think that's gonna be a better option for this project. So I'm gonna get some blue here. And I'm just gonna start mixing it in, seeing what it looks like. You can see there the color is changing already. I'm feeling like I might need to mix up a little bit more. I'm gonna add a little bit of water to it. See if I can get a few more drops of water in there so I can add a little bit more blue. There we go. Adding a little bit more blue to the mix there. All right, we got a nice little teal color here. So let's see what we think. Ooh, I think it's pretty. This is very light. So what I'm seeing here is that these are not quite as strong of colors. The more water you add, like I said in the first project, the more watery your colors are gonna look. So these are all gonna be pretty light colors, but I think that's okay. I think it's gonna look good putting them all together. So I'm gonna go ahead and mix up a tiny bit more of this green. It's a mix of this green here and the yellow. I'm gonna have to put a little bit more there. And I'm gonna grab a little bit more yellow here. There we go. I'm gonna go ahead and add some water to the mix because I think we're gonna need to have a little bit more paint, and if there's more paint, there's more water. All right, a little bit more, mix that in there. A bit more yellow in there to lighten it up, make it a little bit more exciting. I'm gonna test it again, make sure it's still a color that I like. Ooh, it looks like a lot of yellow. Let's see, let's try it again. There we go, looking a little bit better. That's what we want. All right, now I think it's time for me to get my colors and see what we can see. All right, I've got my palette and I've got my leaves. I'm gonna start with this one here. I think this one I'm gonna paint this light green that we see right here. So I'm gonna start painting up here and just kind of see how it looks. Gonna be kind of just spreading it around. It's pretty liquidy. Now, this type of watercolor, when you're painting around lines, you kind of have two choices. You can either really try to stick with the lines, try to make sure that the colors are staying in the lines. It's a little difficult, but you can do that, or you can kind of take a little bit messier of an approach. I'm taking a little bit of a messier approach here, just trying to get the color on the paper. You can still see the outline of the leaves, but it's definitely spreading out. It's going beyond the leaves, but it's not everywhere. So let's get going. So that's our first one done, and you can see some of the leaves look a little bit darker than others. That's just kind of depending on how much color you leave there. So if you leave it on kind of thick, it looks a little bit like a puddle of color. That's really going to make it a darker color, whereas if you're kind of spreading it out, it's nice and thin, like you can see right here, a couple of these over here. The more you spread it out, the lighter the color is going to look. So we're gonna move on to our next one here. I think this one I'm gonna paint the kind of bluish color. It's gonna be really interesting. I think I'm gonna add a little bit more green to it. I think I'd like it to be a little bit darker, so I'm gonna add a little green and then see how it looks. Ooh, it's a nice, very light turquoisey looking color. Very, very light. Now that's not something that I mind. I think I like it, this turquoise look. But if you wanted it to be a little bit more green, you could definitely change it. Okay, so that's two of our little leaves finished, and now we're on to our third one. This one I think I'm going to do just the true green from right here. I think it's a fun kind of bright green, not too light, not blue like this one. I think it's going to be a good color to put. So since I'm just using it right out of the palette, I'm just going to put the water right here in the color. Now, what is really important to remember here is that you're putting it right in the color. So if you go back and get water, so much water over and over and over again, you're going to have a huge puddle. The color is going to be really diluted. It's going to be kind of messy. So since I'm not mixing this color, I'm just going to get a little bit of water. I'm just going to put it in there. I'm going to make a small puddle here. And I'm going to try to use it up, and I'm going to try to not go back and get any more water. I'm going to see if I can work with just a little bit of water so that it doesn't end up being a mess. So let's see what we got here. There we go. That's a nice color. Yeah, I like it. There's all three leaves. So you'll see kind of what I did with this one. I wasn't worrying about just getting it in the leaves. I kind of painted the whole design. I didn't want to get too far on the outside, so I did start kind of with the middle and filling in on the leaves. And I just kind of let the paint go where it wanted to. I let it spread out a little bit. That's totally fine. Watercolors really are very, very simple and easy to use, and you can really do a lot with them without having to do a ton of work. Like, this is just a few little pen drawings, and now I look like an absolutely professional artist, just like you will. So we've got a couple of different things. We've got the pen drawings, and then we have just little art here. I think we did a pretty good job. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this watercolor painting. I hope you had fun painting something like a watermelon or some pretty leaves. If you painted something different than that, that's really awesome too. There is so much that you can do with this. Go do it. Go paint. Be an artist. It's awesome.